Kansas, Franklin, and Cherokee County. Good afternoon, 4 states. This is a special edition of KOAM News at 5.
Tonight, power coverage after the storm. We'll have reports on the losses and the cleanup.
We'll get an analysis of the weather conditions that spawned the tornadoes. We'll have the latest on power outages, cancellations, and victim assistance.
And we'll give you a chance to phone in live with your stories of heroism or kindness.
We begin in Carl Junction, where at least 2 people died and where businesses and neighborhoods are in shambles. Reporter Jared Clark joins us live from Carl Junction with details.
Well, I'm here at the Carl Junction High School, which is the disaster cleanup headquarters right now. And as you can see behind me, the Salvation Army has an area set up where they're giving food and water to people that have been displaced or that have been out there working all day. Now, there is a state representative saying, stop cleaning up and make sure insurance companies get to take a look first. That's what State Representative Steve Hunter is saying. But some of that advice is going unheard, as this morning and really all day long with the cleanup efforts, people have gotten a head start with mowing, sawing, cutting, and cleaning. But with all of the teamwork, Hunter says that the insurance companies need to see properties at their worst.
Get pictures, get film footage, get camcorders out, get documentation, all the devastation they've had at their property. And this is basically for insurance purposes. Don't do any cleanup until that's done. And
now, the good news that I can tell you is I was talking to some families earlier who had all the insurance companies come by and cleared them to start working. So there are people that are chipping up the wood and all that thing. Unfortunately, I have talked to people that didn't take enough pictures before they started their cleanup. They also wanted me to let people know that Carl Junction water, their water has been back up. So people that are needing water should come by the high school. Clean drinking water, they can come by the high school and pick that up if they need it. Live in Carl Junction, I'm Jared Clark, KOAM News.
Jared, thanks.
Sites are similar in the Lawrence County, Missouri community of Pierce City. At least 2 people were killed there and others are missing. Reporter Cheryl Terrell has been there throughout the day. She joins us live from our Joplin newsroom with the latest.
Well, it was truly an unbelievable sight to see. As the sheriff put it, the entire downtown was wiped out. Every building there was hit. Now this town is trying to find a way to get it all cleaned up. What should have been Main Street in downtown has been reduced to rubble. An area that was once served as the business district of this town no longer has anything here. The Armory, which was supposed to be the safest place, turned out to be the deadliest, leaving 2 people dead. Now people of this devastated town are starting to clean up. Lawrence County Sheriff's Department, as well as several local agencies, are continuing their door-to-door search to make sure everyone is accounted for. The mayor of Pierce City has also implemented a boil order for the area. Mark Peters of Pierce City says the town is holding up very well, and they are just trying to get everything cleaned up so they can begin to think about rebuilding this town that was hit by the strongest storm.
Cheryl Terrell, thanks.
At least 3 people were killed in Crawford County. 1 person died in the community of Franklin. Many others are just left homeless. Governor Kathleen Sebelius visited the site firsthand today. KOAM's Janine Kiesling joins us live from Franklin with details.
Well, it was just about 24 hours ago a tornado tore through the small town of Franklin, Kansas. Now there is some new hope for these storm victims of rebuilding. Governor Kathleen Sebelius stopped by town about 2:15 this afternoon. She briefly walked through some of the damaged area and talked with the local residents. The message was one of encouragement. The state has declared this a disaster area. The next step is getting President Bush to declare it a federal disaster. That will bring more resources and relief to these residents.
But we're going to do everything we can from the state and from the federal level to get you the assistance you need and help you rebuild your lives as quickly as possible.
Obviously, we had some technical difficulties. We can tell you that disaster declarations were issued for Crawford, Neosho, Cherokee, and Allen counties in southeast Kansas. Cherokee County was hit very hard. KOAM's Michael Hayslip has details from the Cherokee County Courthouse.
Thanks, guys. We're here at the Cherokee County Courthouse, and I'm joined now by Lieutenant Gary Allen, the Chief Deputy. Lieutenant Allen, the first thing I want to ask you is your initial assessment from the damage of yesterday's tornadoes.
We have field officers out with our Emergency Preparedness Director right now. I checked with him just a little while ago. Right now, they are on the eastern end of the debris impact field. We are looking at approximately 30 residences that have either else been destroyed or has significant damage.
As far as the debris field goes, if you could give us a guesstimate as far as city to city, north, south, east, and west?
We are using 69 highway that runs north and south from Columbus. That seems to be the starting point. and then it runs all the way east to the Missouri line, which is approximately 12 miles.
Earlier this afternoon, you were looking at some aerial photos on your computer, very high-tech imaging and everything. Why don't you tell us how those were taken and how those kind of helped with the cleanup?
Our undersheriff, Mr. George Kelly, was able to go up. Kansas Highway Patrol brought down a helicopter this afternoon so that we could go up and take aerial photographs of our debris and our residences. Kansas Highway Patrol was the helicopter that we used.
As far as Cherokee County goes from here, what are the next steps as far as cleanup goes?
Right now, we have people out. The firemen are out delivering food and water to the individuals that have actually had damage. We're trying to just accommodate them the best we can. Individuals that need assistance on damage, cleaning up, that's what we're trying to get done now.
Thank you. Lieutenant Gary Allen, Chief Deputy. Guys, we're going to have a look at some of that damage coming up tonight at 6 from the Cherokee County Courthouse. Michael Hayslip, KOAM News.
The 3 people killed in Cherokee County are Charles and Phyllis Ross, who live near Badger, and 50-year-old Julie Green.
Well, many people seem to be concerned with the Stockton, Missouri area. Last night, we were unable to reach authorities in that area because power and phone lines were down. Now daylight shows us the extent of the damage. Much of the town was destroyed. The entire town square is gone, including City Hall. All 5 public schools were damaged. Officials were forced to close school today. Trees are down all over the city. This is the death toll as we know it so far. The storms killed at least 21 people throughout all of Kansas and Missouri.
In Kansas, that includes 3 people in Crawford County, 3 in Cherokee County, and 1 in Wyandotte County.
In southwest Missouri, at least 3 people died in Lawrence County, including 2 in Pierce City. 2 people died in the Carl Junction area of Jasper County. 3 died in Camden County, 2 in Dallas County, and there were single fatalities in the counties of Berry, Barton, Christian, and Greene.
And to find out exactly what caused those storms, we're going to turn to meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Well, it was a very interesting scenario, and we really don't see a setup like this too often. If we go to a graphic here, and we're going to show you exactly what did happen. We have what we call a dry line across eastern Kansas, western parts of Oklahoma, stretching down into Texas. And what that is the leading edge of dry air. Out ahead of it, warm, moist air. Behind it, warm, dry air. And when you have all the conditions come together, which isn't too common to see them all come together at that time of day with the heating of the day, we usually get a tornadic outbreak. And that's exactly what happened yesterday afternoon across eastern Kansas, eastern parts of Oklahoma. And you can see some of the footage of some of the very devastating tornadoes that we saw yesterday evening. That is a very clear picture of a lowering of a wall cloud, and it looks like a funnel cloud as well, and it might even be touching the ground there. I can't quite tell. The rain on the windshield, and we had this all over the place. Look at that monster right across. At the end of your screen there, you can see a pretty nice-sized tornado, and it looks like hopefully things are going to be calming down some tonight. I think we are going to be mainly back into falling drop back into the 60s. We'll see partly cloudy skies, and then tomorrow things get a little dicey once again as we bounce up to 82 degrees. There is a chance for thunderstorms tomorrow evening. Some of these could be severe, continuing Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So the next 6 out of 7 days look to be on the active side, so we might not be in the clear quite yet.
Okay, thanks a lot, Doug.
The devastation and destruction left a lot of kids home today. Several 4-state schools closed because of the storms, including Carl Junction, Pierce City, and Stockton in Missouri, and Arma, Columbus, Weir, and West Mineral in Kansas. Carl Junction will be closed tomorrow as well, but we've just heard that northeast of Arma will have school tomorrow. Any displaced families can drop off their kids at school or call the school, and kids will get them.
Now, if you would like to help the victims of the tornadoes that devastated the 4 states, you can contact your local Salvation Army and Red Cross. The numbers to contact in southwest Missouri for the Red Cross is 417-624-4411. Now, for the Salvation Army, it's 417-624-4528. And in Pittsburgh, it's 620-231-3420 for the Red Cross, and then 620-231-0415 for the Salvation Army.
With many homes damaged, hundreds of people are needing shelter, and communities are answering that demand. In southeast Kansas, a shelter is set up at the Arma High School, St. Joseph's Church in Arma, and the United Methodist Church in Arma. The McCune Grade School is now a makeshift shelter, as is the Senior Center in Mulberry, as well as the Girard High School. In Missouri, there are currently 4 shelters in Webb City, with the Red Cross at the high school. There's another at Webb City First Baptist Church on Broadway and Roan, the Church of the Nazarene at Dougherty and Jefferson, and at Webb City Assemblies of God at 21 South Webb. In Barton County, there are shelters at Memorial Hall in Lamar and at Liberal High School in Liberal, Missouri.
Insurance adjusters should be in Southeast Kansas ready to assess your property damage. Kansas Insurance Commissioner Sandy Prager says the state has been contacting insurance companies to make sure that they get adjusters to the areas immediately. Prager says that there are some things you can do to help in claims process, like taking pictures of your property and making temporary repairs or emergency repairs to protect your property from other damage. Now, if you have to leave your home, remember to take your receipts from hotels and meals because some policies could reimburse you. And remember to beware of contractors who could try to cash in on repairs.
During last night's storm coverage, we were able to bring you a lot of amateur video that was taken all across the four-state area. We want to thank all those who were able to get that video to us. Here is a list of names to recognize those who did pitch in with their video, their still pictures, and information. Again, we give you our thanks.
Still ahead in our special coverage of the four states after the storm continues.
We're going to look beyond the four states and see other communities facing the same tragedy when the storms move through their towns.
Plus, a little later, we want to hear from you. We're going to be asking you to call in and share your experiences with us.
Live.
That's related to the storm.
Throughout much of Kansas City, residents say they took shelter in closets, in bathrooms, anywhere they could. One man says everything is gone. He says his house simply isn't there anymore.
In Arkansas, tornadoes have left a path of destruction. The twisters tore through homes, uprooted trees, and sent utility poles flying through the air. One resident described what happened just before the tornado hit.
House, told Gary, need to get to the storm cellar. He said it's too late, and the windows exploded.
A couple says that there's no roof on the house and there's a huge oak tree laying on top of the truck.
In Lonoke County, Arkansas, the storms damaged power lines, leaving a lot of people without power. Several mobile homes were ripped from their foundations. There are even reports of an 18-wheeler being overturned. There are no reports of any deaths there, that is in northwest Arkansas, but some people were injured.
Now, residents and emergency workers say they were shocked to see the damage in Jackson, Tennessee after last night's storm. Jackson is one of the hardest hit areas in Tennessee. Debris litters the streets downtown. 11 people lost their lives when the tornado hit.
Because of the destruction left by the tornadoes in the four states, we at KOAM decided not to offer our Zip into Free Gas contest today. Instead, we are using the equivalent of that prize in gas money to provide to charities to help our fellow neighbors and viewers. Now, our special coverage of the four states facing tragedy will continue.
Next, in our special edition of KOAM News at 5, meteorologist Doug Hetty has a complete check of our current weather and week-long forecast.
I think this is pretty much what we will see through the evening hours tonight. We might see some clouds increasing late tonight.
Your name, please.
My name is Diana Schmidt.
And where are you calling from, Diana?
I'm calling from the corner of Wyandotte and 100th Street, about 2 blocks from Badger.
And what did you want to tell us?
Well, we saw the tornado coming. It did veer off to Badger Street, and we have some damage, but not much. But without electricity and water, I was in bad shape because of my throat condition where I need a nebulizer. And the members of our Seventh-day Adventist Church came to our rescue, and it was great. I just think they're great.
Okay.
And this whole area is great. People came by to make sure we were okay.
We've heard stories like that time and time again.
And we frequently do. Diana, thank you for calling. We have another caller on the line.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Diana.
Bye.
We're going to be showing some video as we hear from some other callers. Again, we want you to call in with your stories of heroism or kindness or whatever you have to call about. It's 877-51-KOAM-7. We have our next caller. Caller, your first name, please.
Kay Thomas.
Kay, what did you want to tell us?
My brother lost his house in Riverside, Kansas City today, or last night. And his daughter, he was standing in the garage, and the wind went through the garage and knocked his kitchen and garage walls down, and it was a brick house, and when they came back, they knew it had gone over his house, so they turned around and came back, and he was trying to hold up his roof in the kitchen, but he and the lady that takes care of him was okay.
Well, that's the good news, is that they were okay.
And obviously we heard that the storm spread all the way northward to Kansas City. They received several tornadoes up there as well. And we do have another caller on the line. Your caller's name, just your first name and where you're calling from, please.
Jerry from Josh, Missouri. And I want to compliment all of you on your reporting of the storms and everything yesterday. Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Jerry. You know, obviously there are many people working very hard, much harder than we are, many longer hours than we are. Among them are the emergency crews, the police, National Guard members, the utility workers. There's so many people who are working so hard and deserve our thanks. Again, the number to call, 877-51-KOAM7 if you want to call in.
It is a toll-free number,
so your comments
we just want to hear your comments. And if not, you can also go to our website at KOAMTV.com. We do have a message board up there where you can share those comments as well.
We're allowing people to just share their experiences and perhaps begin the healing process by doing that. We're going to continue that also on our 6 o'clock news a little bit later. Right now, our special edition of KOAM News at 5 will continue in just a moment.
1 hour edition of KOAM News after the storm.
We're going to tell you what's next for communities devastated by yesterday's tornadoes. We're also going to hear your stories of survival and hope as communities pull together in a time of crisis. We know that there are a number of those stories, and again, we're going to be inviting you to call in live to share those with the entire 4-state community. For now, let's check back with meteorologist Doug Hetty.
Well, Lisa, I think during the evening hours tonight, we are going to be on the quiet side as we should see partly cloudy skies. Temperatures on the mild side sitting into the 70s, eventually falling back into the 60s and middle 50s, and it looks like a quiet evening, but things could change in the weather department by tomorrow evening. I think most of the day looks okay. Partly cloudy skies, 82 degrees, but our next system rolls in tomorrow night, and it's going to give us a good shot for showers and storms, and some of these, unfortunately, could be severe, something we definitely do not need. And look at those temperatures. We're going to hold into the 80s all week long with a chance for showers and thunderstorms just about each day. I might as well throw in one little point here. I've noticed, because I live in Carl Junction, that trying to get a hold of insurance agents has been very hard. I still haven't even got a hold of my insurance agent, so I think that is definitely one big problem probably a lot of people are running into, and unfortunately it looks like we're going to see more showers and thunderstorms over the next couple days.
So the insurance agents have their hands full, and they're trying to get to as many people as they can, but there are so many of them who need some help.
And I certainly know that it's not going to help with the potential of more rain and more thunderstorms. Certainly won't help the cleanup process at all. Exactly. We do want to encourage you to go to our message board at KOAMTV.com. There is an array of comments, that we've received, and we'd love to hear yours as well.
It's going to give you a chance to hear what other people are saying about what happened in their communities, and for you to pass that on to people as well. The CBS Evening News is next, and again, we're going to be back here for a special 1 hour edition of KOAM News at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it up better tomorrow.
Tear across the Midwest and the South.
Everywhere, look at the debris.
Flattening everything in their path. Homes are torn open or turned into scrap heaps. The search goes on for victims. Also tonight, the U.S. finds an Iraqi bioweapons lab and captures a scientist who could lead the way to more. And Eye on America. Parents forced to give up their children so they can get the health care they need but can't afford.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. Government storm experts are calling it one of the biggest swarms of tornadoes on record, and the evidence is all over Missouri, Kansas, and Tennessee. Dozens of twisters and powerful thunderstorms sliced through those states, leaving at least 34 people dead and scores injured. Hundreds of homes and businesses were damaged or destroyed.
It's spinning up 3 or 4 different ones.
This tornado in Missouri is just one of the 80 or more in the storm system that slashed through last night and early today.
Holy cow, there goes something flying in the air.
It tore up turf and sent big pieces of debris hurtling high into the air.
Coming right down the road.
It practically followed the people who took this video right down the road.
Keep going, it's coming our way. It's storming!
Frantic searches were underway today for several people still unaccounted for.
Woman's car is here, but unable to locate her.
Looked out and saw it come straight over the top of this thing.
And it was hard to find anything or anyone in the piles of debris. In southwest Missouri, the tornadoes practically wiped one town off the map. That town is Pierce City, Missouri. Sirens did give at least some advance warning. Still, at least 14 people died in and around that area, about 40 miles from Springfield. CBS's Bob McNamara is on the scene.
Oh, my God. There it is. There it is.
On the edge of Pierce City, they watched a monster in the making.
That's right over town, hon.
And what it did was Mother Nature's version of shock and awe.
Pretty much this whole town's gone. This is my hometown, and you can see what's left of it. There's not much.
No home or business in this town of 1,300 was left unscathed by the twister. Lives and landscape were laid to waste. Main Street was turned into a boulevard of broken dreams. A grocery store collapsed in a heap of retail rubble. Gone was the apartment of Craig Brandt and Sabrina Suter.
Yeah, we lost everything.
We haven't been able to go back in there. They won't let us go in the building yet.
The riddled National Guard Armory, where many sought shelter, was cordoned off while rescue workers searched for victims possibly still trapped. And many felt it was a miracle so few people died here.
This is where my grandmother sat in that chair, and if she would have been sitting in her chair, she would have been sucked out probably.
1886. On a tour, Missouri's Governor Bob Holden said he had never witnessed such total destruction.
Pierce City was truly one of those cities on the way back, and now what you see is just utter devastation.
Tell me if you've seen any of these individuals that aren't marked off.
Police Detective Lee Kelly's job is accounting for those still missing in a hometown she doesn't recognize anymore.
It's like we're all living in a fantasy world right now that we just can't believe it. It's just too, nobody can grasp it yet. It's just too unreal.
Tonight, city officials believe there are no more people trapped in the rubble here. Still, 13 residents of Pierce City remain unaccounted for, and the hope is they are with family or friends. Dan?
Bob McNamara reporting live from Pierce City, Missouri. This especially large and especially vicious storm system also blasted into Tennessee, spawning a deadly tornado about 75 miles northeast of Memphis in the town of Jackson, Tennessee. The town had 20 minutes warning, but the twisters still took a heavy toll. CBS News correspondent Cynthia Bowers is in Jackson, Tennessee tonight. Cynthia?
Dan, there were some tense moments here this afternoon when another storm system pushed through here, bringing with it high winds, enough rain to cause flash flooding and raise fear that Jackson could be in the line of fire again. From the air, the historic town of Jackson, Tennessee is unrecognizable. From the ground, it's even worse.
I never seen anything like it.
After tearing through Missouri and Kansas, this storm system still packed enough power to kill 11 people in this one county, including Jack Cowan's niece. Relatives tonight are still searching for her husband and young son.
Sat and watched the radar all night thinking, you know, someone's really taking a beating. I just didn't know it was us.
The tornado struck late last night, destroying some 70 homes and taking out the heart of downtown. Tens of thousands are now without power and drinking water. Jackson's 911 building was among the first to go, so it wasn't until daybreak that emergency workers could finally see what the monster had left behind.
And right now, downtown is as shut down as it can be. Most of the businesses, as I said, have sustained damage. We're really afraid of what the number's going to be.
The streets here are nearly impassable, a tangle of twisted metal and collapsed building. It's believed 2 people died in this home for the elderly, where every window was blown out. For Mary Frances Anderson, survival came down to a matter of just a few feet.
But you see how merciful he was. It didn't come this way. He just went across. The same way in the back. You better go, because I'll get loose. Because I can tell you about it.
This isn't the first time Jackson's been hit by a killer tornado. 8 people died here in 1999, but the downtown was left intact. This time, the toll is much higher in terms of both death and destruction. Dan?
Cynthia Bowers reporting live from Jackson, Tennessee. Living through a tornado can be a traumatic experience, but there are some people who make a living chasing tornadoes. One professional storm chaser is Jeff Petrosky, and he had plenty of tornadoes to chase and photograph in the last 24 hours in Kansas and Missouri. Here's what he saw and felt.
Very violent tornado. It's coming down the highway.
In my 28 years plus of storm chasing, I can only recount of about 10 events in the last 28 years that were this extreme over such a large area.
This town's going to get leveled.
I think the most amazing thing I saw yesterday was the sheer size and how fast this tornado was moving.
4 towns south of me just got obliterated. Oh my God! Oh my God! There's a train on the track! Oh no!
After I left that area on the road to Liberal, Missouri, I ended up seeing a tornado coming down the highway and a farm and a barn literally dead center of the tornado, and literally watched the tornado move into the house and the barn at ground zero.
Oh no, a new one's on the ground to my east. Oh my God. Oh no. There it comes. Holy moly.
To chronicle these dangerous twisters, Petrovsky says he traveled about 1,000 miles in a 24-hour period.
4 hours a day. Log on to cbsnews.com. Profiting from
The destruction from Sunday's tornadoes becomes all the more clear by the light of day. Hundreds of homes destroyed, dozens of lives lost.
And the process of starting to clean up and get a grasp on the extent of the damage has only just begun. Good evening. This is a special hour-long edition of KOAM News at 6. I'm Bree Sakis.
And I'm Dow Quipp. We're devoting our extended newscast tonight to the tornado damage in the 4 states. In our power coverage, we're going to take you to the hardest hit areas. They include Carl Junction, Pierce City, and Stockton in southwest Missouri.
Plus Cherokee County, Kansas, and the Franklin area in Crawford County, Kansas. We'll tell you about shelters set up for people who've lost their homes and school closings for tomorrow.
We're also going to look at damage around the 4-state region and hear about today's visits to the area from the governors of Missouri and Kansas. The National Weather Service out of Wichita is heading to the westernmost part of the tornado's path. From there, they're going to follow the path of destruction from the beginning to the end.
Several tornadic storms move through the 4-state area, and initial estimates show multiple tornadoes touch down, and officials have no idea what kind of dollar total will be assessed. KOAM reporters and photographers have fanned out around the 4 states today. They've gathered stories on how people and communities have been affected by the tornadoes.
We start in Carl Junction, and as you can see, neighbors there will have plenty of cleaning up to do. That community is also in mourning for 2 people killed by the storm. KOAM's Jared Clark joins us live from Carl Junction with more.
We're at the command center at the Carl Junction High School, where you can see behind me people that have been out working. Actually, you can't see me now behind me. There's a van that just pulled in. But there are people taking advantage of the free food and drink that the Salvation Army is putting out for those that have been working hard all day. And a lot of people have been working hard all day cleaning up. I can tell you, as I walk around this afternoon, things are starting to look a little bit better as people are getting the okay from the insurance company to start cleaning up. I even saw one business that's putting a roof back on their building, so that's a good sign. As for school districts, yesterday Carl Junction School District decided to close classes today and tomorrow. They have extended that through the rest of the week as they took a look at the other schools. The heavy damage to all the schools except for the high school. An inspector is coming to town tomorrow to survey the damage and will determine if the schools can reopen within the next couple of weeks.
And may make a determining factor of whether that we're going to be able to have any classes during the rest of the year. And actually, I think there's only one building that we could have classes the rest of the year, and that would be the high school. And all the rest of them, substantial roof damage and everything. And
Thomas says if classes aren't back open by the time that they let out for summer, he's not sure if the state will forgive that time that the students were gone. Live in Carl Junction, I'm Jared Clark, KOAM News.
Jared Clark, thanks. Cherokee County officials are using Messer Road and Highway 69 as the starting point for the tornado that started outside of Columbus and then turned toward Carl Junction. KOAM's Michael Hayslip has a story of a heroic 15-year-old who wouldn't take his eyes from the sky and got his family out of harm's way.
Guys, I'm here of Messer Road, just east of Highway 400, and I'm joined by what we could basically call 4-state hero, Eric Tullison. Now, Eric, I want you to take me through the events as far as last night. What happened when you first saw the tornado?
I just went out there to the side of the house, and I was watching it, and all of a sudden I see the funnel cloud, and it just kept getting closer. So I went out to get my parents, And they finally came out here and we made the decision to get out of the way.
He said, "Dad, you need to come look at this. I think I seen a tornado." And I came outside and we looked, and sure enough, there was the cloud. And it was probably 5 minutes or less, and we were in a pickup truck leaving with him and with our dog.
When you came back, this is the unfortunate part of the story. Eric isn't here, but Eric, I want you to step over here and kind of show me what we had here. This is the foundation of the house, correct?
Yeah.
Now, what would we be standing over right now?
Utility room right there, the kitchen and dining room, in the living room, and the bedrooms towards the back.
Being in that Freddy hole with a lawnmower coming in on top of you and some other things, including glass jars, might not have been a very nice experience for us. And so, like I said, he at least saved us from injury, and he may have kept the three of us alive because he was persistent. He went out to look.
What have you been able to take away from the damage?
Lots of pictures of family and friends.
Probably the most important thing you right now to remember, isn't it?
Yeah.
Eric, thank you very much. Eric Tullison, a four-state hero. Guys, we're going to have more on the community involvement going on here in Cherokee County when I see you at 6:30.
We move north now to Crawford County, Kansas. A tornado is blamed for 3 deaths in that county. The victims are 48-year-old Sharon Lashbrook, 68-year-old George Balta, and 87-year-old Josephine Mogg. A lot of the damage is in the Ringo, Arma, and Franklin areas, and today Governor Sebelius stopped in Franklin to view the damage and meet with people affected. KOAM's Janine Kiesling joins us live in Franklin with more.
Well, we are more than 24 hours into this. The cleanup phase has begun. It certainly will not be a quick process. It definitely will not be an easy process, despite all of the help these storm victims are receiving. Today they learned even more help might soon be on the way. Governor Kathleen Sebelius stopped by here today to see the destruction firsthand. She also stopped and talked with residents to let them know they will not have to go through this alone. Governor Sebelius said she will be asking for the president to declare all 7 counties in Kansas a federal disaster. That includes the southeast Kansas counties, as well as those hit in northeast Kansas. Traveling with the governor today was the General Director of Emergency Management and Homeland Security in Kansas. Now, he says 50 people from FEMA are going through the damaged areas, but it still could be days until we know the full extent of the damage. Reporting live from Franklin, Kansas, Janine Kiesling, KOAM News.
We also want to pass along that a boil advisory has been issued for Franklin. That's because of a loss of water pressure yesterday.
Now, you should boil drinking or cooking water for 1 minute before using it. That boil advisory will remain into effect until the state can determine that Franklin's water system hasn't been contaminated. Now, we're going to bring you much more on the damage and the recovery efforts in the 4 state communities in just a moment.
First, we want to check in with meteorologist Doug Hetty, who spent hours tracking the tornadoes yesterday. He joins us now with a look at how they moved through the 4 states.
Well, we actually saw 3 thunderstorms that produced these tornadoes. Our first one actually developed in eastern parts of Lebec County, just to the northeast of Parsons. That's the Franklin tornado, and went right around the Frontenac area and then over towards Stockton. Once that made it to Stockton, the second one was developing across Cherokee County, just north of Galena and also Riverton, and then right across Messer Road, and then went through Carl Junction and also hit Stockton as well. At that time, the third one was developing in Ottawa County, right around the Miami area, and that's the one that tracked through Newton County and then also hit Pierce City. So destructive tornadoes. We even have a little bit of video here. You can see a couple of the tornadoes that we were looking at yesterday, very lowering there. You can see the lowering of our wall cloud and our funnel cloud in that picture. And it looks like that tornado is just barely touching the ground, but we have numerous videos that have been given to us over the last 24 hours of quite a bit of tornadic activity. You can see this video right here. That's a fairly nice-sized tornado on the ground, and that's what we saw all day long yesterday evening. Now, for tonight, things are much calmer. I think actually temperatures are going to drop back through the 70s, eventually down into the 60s. Partly cloudy skies. Tuesday might get a little iffy. Most of the day looks okay. Partly cloudy, 82. But tomorrow night, we have a chance for thunderstorms. Some of those could be severe. And, of course, we're going to talk
in the area to assess the damage. Holden is trying to move quickly, getting the state declared a federal disaster area. Governor Holden talked with city officials and residents. He was trying to see exactly how much destruction came through. A cleanup effort has been going on throughout the day, in addition to a door-to-door search to make sure everyone has been accounted for. 2 people were killed in Pierce City at the Armory. That's where a lot of people went for shelter. The Lawrence County Sheriff's Department says 100 structures were destroyed in the county. Governor Holden says he could barely believe the devastation he saw throughout the state.
and say we will do all that we can for them personally and as a community. This is a community that's been very, very strong its entire history.
A tragedy struck another Lawrence County community. This tornado tore through the town of Marionville in the extreme southeast part of the county. One person was killed in a house. In Berry County, one person was killed at a trailer park in Monette, and one death is reported out of Barton County.
Much of Stockton, Missouri is gone. The same storm that hit Crawford County, Kansas, also devastated this Cedar County community in Missouri. The tornado tore apart City Hall, the library, the bank, almost every other building as well. Law officers spent last night trying to contain dangerous gas leaks, and we've now received word that 3 people were killed in Cedar County, but we don't know if they were Stockton residents or lived elsewhere in the county. Our special coverage of the 4 states after the storm continues in a few minutes. Still ahead, we're going to tell you about ways to help people who lost their homes or belongings in the tornadoes.
And we'll look at the damage in other parts of the 4-state region. Plus, we'll hear President Bush's comments about the tornadoes. All that is still ahead on this special hour-long edition of KOAM News at 6.
Better.
And we make it fun.
To the storm.
Missouri Attorney General Jay Nixon says people in the 4-state area need to be aware of scam artists. Nixon says if someone comes to your home to talk to you about repair work, ask for identification before letting them in. And before you hire someone, call the Better Business Bureau or Attorney General's office to find out if complaints have been made about them in the past. Also, make sure a contractor carries insurance. Get all guarantees in writing and don't pay in cash. If you suspect someone is trying to defraud you or if you suspect price gouging, you are asked to report it to the Attorney General's office. Thousands of 4-staters remain without power at this hour.
The Empire District Electric Company says about 16,000 of its customers remain without power, mainly in Carl Junction, Pierce City, Aurora, and Stockton. And Heartland Rural Electric Cooperative asks the customers west of Girard and around the Walnut areas keep use of electric appliances to a minimum until power lines can be repaired. Missouri Gas Energy says natural gas was turned off to many homes damaged by the tornadoes. The utility says you should not attempt to turn the gas back on yourself. Instead, you should call your natural gas provider. You should also give them a call if you smell gas at your home. We do know of at least 2 school closings for tomorrow. Carl Junction schools will be closed again tomorrow and the rest of the week. Also, Pierce City schools will also be closed again tomorrow. Northeast Arma schools were closed today, but they will reopen tomorrow. However, some bus routes won't be running. Buses cannot pick up students south of Mulberry or in the Franklin area.
People are coming together around the 4 states to help those affected by the tornadoes. Here's a look at just some of the ways you can help. The American Red Cross has damage assessment teams deployed around the area. The Red Cross is also providing food, shelter, and counseling to tornado victims. If you'd like to make a donation, just send it to the American Red Cross of Southwest Missouri. They're located at 410 Jackson in Joplin, or you can leave a donation at any Southwest Missouri bank. Now, the Pittsburgh Area Community Foundation has set up the Crawford County Relief Fund for tornado victims. Donations received through the fund will be handed out to people through the Red Cross and similar agencies. For more information, you can call 620-231-8897. Here at KOAM, we've also made a decision to help the tornado victims.
Today, our Zip Into Gas contest will donate the value of the prizes we would have given away at 5, 6, and 10 to agencies in Southwest Missouri and Southeast Kansas that are helping tornado victims.
Well, we have much more ahead on this special hour-long edition of KOAM News at 6. President Bush wasn't far from the 4 states today. He made a stop in Arkansas, and he talked about the tornado destruction.
We're going to bring you his comments, plus we're going to tell you more about our special newscast coming up at 6:30. First, meteorologist Doug Heddy returns with our forecast, and it does include the possibility of more rain this week.
Quieter night tonight compared to what we have seen over the last couple nights, and I really think the next few days are going to be better than what we saw yesterday. If we go ahead and look outside, clear skies at this time. It looks great. Might clean up outside. I
want to pass on some thanks for all that you and Chad Andrews did yesterday. We saw something I don't think we'd ever seen before, and that was you were showing us a tornado live on our Skycam.
That's right.
As it rolled through Cherokee County and approached Carl Junction. And of course, you and Chad both
it was
to warn a lot of people.
Amazement to see that. Actually, when we were doing our cut-ins, I was shocked to see it, and it was really, that kind of weather event is very neat to see. We just don't want to see any destruction from it.
That's right. Thanks, Doug. Well, coming up later on our special 1-hour edition of KOAM News at 6, we're going to give you a chance to call in and share your stories about the tornado cleanup effort.
We also invite you to log on to KOAMTV.com and go to our message board. We've added a topic to our message board. Do you believe disasters like the Sunday tornadoes bring out the best or the worst in people? We're going to try to share any comments we receive on the news.
Now, still ahead on this special edition of KOAM News at 6, the storm destruction outside of the four-state area.
See how other communities in Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas have been affected by the tornadoes.
CBS told.
When the storm hit, it blew the limb through the window, and glass and leaves and stuff came in on top of us and hit my husband several times, but it didn't hurt. He only one tiny little cut on his eyebrow, and I had none. And I just thank the Lord that we're here today and even saved our dog.
A shelter has been set up at Liberal High School and at the Memorial Hall in Lamar for residents displaced from their homes.
Still to come.
Outside of our viewing area, one woman was killed in Battlefield in Christian County, and one woman was killed in Greene County.
A tornado also pushed through Camden County, killing 3 people, and 2 people were killed in Dallas County. This is the damage in Wyandotte County, Kansas, including the Kansas City area. 1 person was killed in that county, the only fatality in Kansas outside of southeast Kansas. Damage was reported to a number of homes and businesses, including some near the Kansas Speedway, but the racetrack itself was not damaged.
Here's some aerial video of some of the damage in Gladstone, Missouri. That's a suburb in the northern part of Kansas City. Police said the storms damaged 200 homes, ripping off roofs, shattering windows, and twisting a large aluminum sign around a power line. Damage is less severe in Oklahoma. A tornado did move through northeastern Oklahoma, destroying 2 mobile homes.
The fire chief in the Pittsburgh County community of Alderson is also convinced a tornado blew through that area. A storm dumped large hail in the town, knocked over railroad cars, and blew doors off their hinges. No one was hurt, and the National Weather Service says it can't yet confirm if a tornado hit Pittsburgh County. Now, to our south, damage is reported in the central Arkansas area. 10 to 15 homes were heavily damaged in Jackson and Woodruff counties, and some businesses were destroyed. However, no deaths or serious injuries are reported. Meteorologists estimate 6 tornadoes struck the central Arkansas area. President Bush arrived in Little Rock, Arkansas today to give a speech on the economy.
But he also spoke about the tornado victims in our area and around the Midwest and the South.
Our prayers, and I hope your prayers, are with those who, with the loved ones who lost life, or those who lost their home. The federal government, the local, state and local authorities need to know the federal government will be moving as quickly as we possibly can to provide help where help is needed and where help is justified. The nature is awfully tough at times, and the best thing we can do right now is to pray for those who have suffered.
Missouri Senators Kit Bond and Jim Talent have urged the president to act quickly to allow federal disaster aid to flow into the area.
Our coverage of the tornado damage in the 4 states continues in just a few moments.
We're going to take another look at tonight's headlines, and we're going to tell you about our special newscast coming up at 6:30.
Wesco Home Furnishings.
4 states, that is the viewing area, appears to be 16. 6 of those deaths were in southeast Kansas in Crawford and Cherokee counties. The other 10 were in southwest Missouri. They include 4 in Lawrence County, 3 in Cedar County, 2 in Jasper County, and 1 in Barton County.
Also, Missouri Governor Bob Holden and Kansas Governor Kathleen Sebelius both visited the 4 states today. Both are expected to ask the federal government for financial help to pay for recovery efforts. And we have much more coming up just ahead in a few minutes. KOAM News continues at 6:30 tonight.
Wheel of Fortune will not be seen, so we can bring you an additional half hour with more on the 4 states after the storm. We're going to share stories of how neighbors are coming together in communities damaged by the storms and how other 4-staters are working to provide help to those hit hardest by the storms.
We'll also be taking your phone calls about the tornado recovery effort. If you have a story you'd like to share, just write down this number, 1-877-515-6267. And we'll let you know when to start calling.
Let's check back now with meteorologist Doug Hetty.
Well, I think this evening is going to be okay. We should see partly cloudy skies. It's going to be warm out there as temperatures eventually fall back into the 70s, 60s, and then we should bottom out into the middle to upper 50s when you wake up tomorrow morning. Tuesday, most of the day is going to be okay, about 82 degrees, partly sunny skies. There is a chance that we could see some pop-up evening thunderstorms. Some of these could be severe, and I'm really thinking south of Interstate 44, definitely into tomorrow night. That system's out of here Wednesday, and then our next system rolls in Wednesday night and Thursday. Friday looks okay. More showers and thunderstorms over the weekend. A look at those temperatures. It's going to be warm throughout the entire period this week.
In the next 30 minutes, we're going to be talking about people helping people. Our extended coverage of KOAM News is going to be continuing in just a moment. After the storm, you're looking at one of many counties in southwest Missouri and southeast Kansas hit by a series of tornadoes yesterday.
Today, you could see neighbors helping neighbors. Communities across the region came together for support. Good evening and welcome back. Our special tornado coverage continues. I'm Bree Sakis.
And I'm Dow Quick. In the next half hour, we're going to take a look at the emotional toll of the tornado from families affected and highlight the acts of heroism and kindness going on all across the 4 states.
We will also be taking your phone calls to hear your stories of survival and starting over. In Carl Junction, the devastation can be seen on several street corners. The small community lost 2 of its residents when the tornado ripped through homes and left several miles of destruction. KOAM's Jared Clark has spent the day in Carl Junction talking with residents who are not only thankful for what they have left, but thankful for one another. He joins us live with their stories.
As I walked around this afternoon, it wasn't hard to find people cleaning up after the devastating tornado that ripped through Carl Junction. And as I started to go down the side streets, it became clear that this cleanup is about neighbors helping neighbors.
As it was over and we were able to get outside, the first thing everybody in the neighborhood did was go door to door and check, is everybody okay? And that's, to me, that's neighbors. That's what a neighborhood should be. So that's why we want to help.
We found part of his was clear down at the corner. It's one of them. Almost looks like Myra.
Patty Williams is helping clean up her neighbor's yard. She even had to call them while they were in Oklahoma to let them know what happened.
We're so fortunate. We're so fortunate to have neighbors that watch our home when we're gone and call us when something happens. And they're always, I love this neighborhood. Everybody around here is watching out for everybody, and we're all working together. And that's what we're supposed to do, is work together.
Oh, poor Gladdy. Gladiolas were blooming so pretty. They're still pretty.
Sharon Luman says she's not only blessed by having good neighbors, but also by the fact her house wasn't severely damaged. Mainly her yard is filled with tree branches. While it's hard work moving them around, it's all part of being neighbors.
When we moved to Carl Junction from the East Coast, that's what we were looking for originally, was a community where you weren't afraid to walk out and leave your door unlocked because you had neighbors there that you trusted and you felt comfortable with, and that's what we found in this community.
It's also a neighborhood where William's 14-year-old daughter, Kayla, can learn what it's like to be a member of a small-town community.
It's nice to know that there's people that are there to help when something like this happens, and it's just nice to have that support in the community, and we go around and we help our neighbors, and we know that they'll help us if we need it.
Now, families much like those have started to trickle into the headquarters here down at the Carl Junction High School, where the Salvation Army has food and drink set up for those people that have been working hard all day today. Now, I do have a few announcements that they wanted me to pass on, that the Carl Junction water is back up and running. If you need clean drinking water, you can come down to the high school, or you can ask one of the National Guard people that are going through the neighborhoods. Also, there have been a couple donation spots set up. One is at the Walmart. This is for clothes only, at the Walmart at 15th Street and the Southwest Missouri Bank at Highway 171 and Highway 43. You can donate food and clothes down at the Skateland in Carl Junction, and the Humane Society has also let me know that they have a booth set up just right over there where you can pick up dog food for pets, for families that have been displaced from this tornado. Live in Carl Junction, I'm Jared Clark, KOAM News.
Jared Clark, thanks.
In Cherokee County, Kansas, the cleanup looked much the same. The house of Richard Green was in the destructive path of the tornado that started near Columbus. KOAM's Michael Hayslip has the story of a community coming together to piece together what's left.
Union Chapel Road, southeast of Columbus proper, where the greenhouse used to sit. But all that remains now, piles of wood, shingle, and the cinder blocks that were used for the Green's house foundation. With one member of the Green family dead and 3 other hospitalized, this Cherokee County community took it upon themselves to clean up from the devastation of yesterday's tornado. About 100 people made their way here this morning, and we're still working diligently in the hot afternoon sun. What was left of the house, splints of wood and boards of shingles, were collected from the field across the street. The help came from all ages as this community sifted through the grass and tried to piece back together the Greens' lives. And still here this evening, a number of people remain in the cleanup effort, a real testament to what neighbors and community mean during times of death, devastation, and destruction. In Cherokee County, Michael Hayslip, KOAM News.
All right, thanks a lot, Michael. A governor's visit to one community gives comfort to those who've lost everything from the storm. We're going to have that story next.
And later, we're going to be taking your calls. We want to hear what's going on in your community as the healing and recovery begins after the storm.
To the 4 states today was meant to bring information on relief efforts, but also give comfort to residents looking for a sympathetic ear.
KOAM's Janine Kiesling has spent the day in Franklin, Kansas, and has more.
We are in Franklin, Kansas. We're about 24 hours after a tornado tore through the town. The cleanup process is really just getting started. Mary Wilhoff lives here in town. Can you kind of talk to me about what happened with you, where you were when the tornado came through?
Well, this is the home of my son and daughter-in-law, and they actually were in Fort Scott. They'd been there over the weekend visiting with us, and we turned on Channel 7 about 5. And we heard that the tornado was headed towards Frontenac, so we called my son's in-laws and said, keep the kids there because the tornado was headed here. And so they stayed in Fort Scott. They actually were very, very fortunate. Both their vehicles were in Fort Scott with us. Their 2 dogs were in Fort Scott with us. He is helping my husband rewire our house, and he had his tools there, and you know, they had some of their personal belongings because they had spent the weekend. So we're very, very grateful.
And then you come home to this, the cleanup process begins. You were telling me a few minutes ago that this is basically 4 houses on top of the other. Talk to me about how the neighbors are working together and how you guys are getting through this.
Well, there's been people coming and going just all day long, just picking out whatever is theirs. And when we find something that, you know, we know is important to a neighbor, they've just been taking it to them. One neighbor lady 2 doors down, I believe, said she had lost a cameo pin, and we found it in this rubble and was able to return that to her. And that's just the way it's been going all day. Everybody's been helpful, and they've found most of the important sentimental stuff, so we're really pleased.
I know the governor spoke with you earlier. What did she have to say, and how did that make you feel? Any optimism about the situation?
It was helpful to talk to her. One of our concerns, because Edwin and Becky are going to college, they moved down here about a year ago to go to PSU, and they're just renting. And we wanted to know if there was going to be any way to help them with their contents since they weren't homeowners and weren't insured. And she said, yes, there should be. And they're moving state offices down here to help with like birth certificates and things like that. So it's going to be helpful.
And that is certainly the scene here in Franklin, Kansas. You can literally walk down the street and hear story after story, just like those of Mary Wilhoff's neighbor helping neighbor, and in this time, it is certainly needed. Reporting from Franklin, Kansas, Janine Kiesling, KOAM News.
Pierce City, Missouri was another area hit hard by the storms. KOAM brought you rescue and cleanup video last night just after the storm hit.
The president said the downtown area looked like a war zone. KOAM Cheryl Terrell went back to the damaged area today and spoke to residents as they cleaned up.
The station that hit Pierce City was something many people had not seen in this area, even people that had lived here their entire lives. For one downtown Pierce City business owner, he just feels lucky to be alive. Rodney Green owned Kids Trucking, and his business had been in the area for 70 years until now.
It's just, you know, we're the lucky ones. I mean, we just lost our business, but the lives were lost. That's the bad thing.
Even though many people are shocked, they are now working together to try and clean this mess up. Residents are saying they need to stick together and are doing everything they can.
Clean up, rebuild if we can.
Okay, and what kinds of things are you helping with to do? Just have you volunteered to do anything you can?
Cutting tree limbs, branches, and cleaning out the roads so they can get major equipment in here.
The armory, which was supposed to serve as a shelter, ended up being the deadliest place, taking 2 people's lives. One woman that usually goes to the armory decided at the last minute she was not going to.
It was just thinking about going down there, and then I decided I wouldn't go down there. A little voice was telling me not to go down there this time. So I just stayed in the house and got my kids all, rounded up.
After everything was over, many people were shocked by the devastation, but ultimately were thankful to be alive. In Pierce City, Cheryl Terrell, KOAM News.
Our coverage of the tornadoes in the 4 states continues. Coming up, we will be taking your calls.
We want to hear your stories and thoughts. Maybe you've seen a heroic effort or just a random act of kindness in all the destruction. Just call 1-877-515-6267. We're going to take your calls when we return. During the storm, we've invited meteorologist Doug Hetty to join us to give us his insight if needed for any of the callers. We're going to start with Ken, who is on the line. Ken, what do you want to tell us?
Oh, I just want to tell you that I live in Neosho, but I just got back from working down there in Carl Junction today, all day today. And I just want to say that it's good to be an American, and God bless everybody for helping everybody's neighbors out.
Ken, thank you. An awful lot of people like you are pitching in and helping their fellow communities. Thank you. We have another caller on the line. Your first name and what you want to tell us, please.
Well, my name's Fred, and I think it's horrible that people have to go through that. And if I can do anything to help, I will. Anything.
Okay.
We certainly appreciate it. I know a lot of people say the same thing.
And the video we've seen is heartbreaking to an awful lot of people, but also the response of communities is heartwarming for an awful lot of people.
I think it brings people closer together.
Yes, indeed. We have another caller on the line. Your first name and what you want to tell us, please. Hello, caller. Are you there?
Well, we did have a caller.
We have lost that caller.
Yes, my name is Terry.
Okay.
Hi, Terry.
Hi. As devastating as it is, I feel sorry for everyone. Last night I watched 6 or 7 storm chasers come by. Those people need to be greatly appreciated.
Yes, that's certainly true. Thank you, Terry. And Doug, you might comment a little bit about that. When we have storm chasers out, we have them specially trained storm chasers. We do not want anybody going out who's not specifically trained to do so. It can be very dangerous.
And like our storm chasers, what we do is I'm actually looking at the radar and putting them in the right spots so they are safe.
Right.
Some important information.
And some of the videos, the home video that was shot last night by various storm chasers. We have another caller on the line. Your first name, please, and what you want to tell us. Hello, caller. Are you there?
Hello.
Yes, your first name?
It's Wanda.
And what did you want to tell us, Rhonda?
Wanda, W-A-N-D-A.
Okay, Wanda.
My 2 good friends in the rural area, South Ridgely, Radley, or Ringo, Gene, and George and Jane Bolte were in the tornado. George was killed, and Jane's in ICU in St. John's with a broken neck.
Wanda, we're very sorry.
I want everybody that can pray for Jane, and anybody that knows the location of their home, if they can find anything. Their house was destroyed. Their family's all up in the waiting room at ICU at St. John's.
Thank you, Wanda.
Thank you, Wanda.
If you can find anything personal that belongs to them, and pray that Jane makes it.
Well, I'm sure the family would love to get just anything they can.
The losses that are felt anywhere are felt everywhere in this area because it is one big community.
It really is.
4-state community.
We've all come together.
I believe we have another caller. We have time for one more quickly. Your first name and what you want to tell us, please.
Richard, and I live in Columbus. I want to thank you all for doing a great job on the storm coverage. I want to thanks to Doug because I had time to get my disabled mother in shelter in time.
Okay. Thanks, Richard, and we certainly pass on his thanks for all that you did and that Chad Andrews did yesterday. We want to encourage you to log on to KOAMTV.com. We do have a new KOAM Interactive posted, and we want to hear more of your stories.
Now, on our message board, we are asking for you to share any acts of heroism or support that you've seen. Just log on to our website at KOAMTV.com and then click on the interactive link, and we will continue to take your calls right after the break. You're watching continuing coverage on KOAM After the Storm. We do want to go to our first caller on the line. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
This is Tennille from Miami, Oklahoma.
And your story?
I just wanted to call in. My husband and my father-in-law and all of his family that live in Carl Junction, they took the day off. They are union electricians through Joplin, and they took the day off to help people connect their service up to their houses. And they're missing, you know, instead of getting a paycheck, they're volunteering their services to help people cut down the trees and get the roads cleared up.
Well, we certainly appreciate their efforts, and I know, Doug Hetty, you live there in Carl Junction. You still don't have power at this point that you know of, but but water was recently restored there, so that is the good news.
And now if we can just get electricity, we're rolling, and I think that's a great thing. Everybody's helping each other out.
All right, next caller, your name and where you're calling from, please.
Yeah, my name is Jim Shanks. I'm a minister from Joplin, Missouri. I went into Carl Junction today. The neighbors were helping neighbors, but the one thing that I noticed above everything else, even though the terrible condition it was in, that they all were thanking God for everything that they had left.
Oh,
and I just think that's amazing.
And I'm sure they were thanking you for being there as well. We appreciate it. Next caller on the line, your name? I believe we do have a next caller on the line.
That's Norman.
Norman, what do you want to say?
I'm sorry to change the tone of your program, but I'm real disappointed in that I've got a brother-in-law and sister-in-law that lost their house. They lost her father and her mother, and they lost their house completely. And it's on rural Galena, and I haven't heard anything about it at all.
Well, Norman, as you might imagine, there have been so many homes that have been damaged and destroyed. We know, I believe, 95 in Crawford County alone, dozens more elsewhere, and we certainly can't mention them all by name, but we're doing all that we can to mention those we can. Let's go to the next caller. Caller, your first name, please.
Okay, this is Barbara in Nevada, Missouri, calling you. I was glad we didn't get up here, but glad for you guys on television. On these storms and things.
Okay, Barbara, thanks for calling.
Okay, then bye.
We have another caller on the line. Okay, we're getting that next caller.
Once again, we want to reiterate the phone number, 1-877-515-6267 if you'd like to call.
Okay.
Hello?
Caller, yes, your first name and your story, please.
My name's Tom, and we live out here 96 and JJ Highway. And we listen to you guys all afternoon, and I think Doug did a fine job keeping everybody informed because the tornadoes missed us by 1/8 of a mile.
Doug, it was a tireless effort.
Yes,
and I know you and Chad Andrews were doing a sort of tag team effort so that we could stay on the air with the updates of the storms that moved through. And you knew early on this was going to be potentially very dangerous.
Yeah, we knew a couple days in advance, but I mean, especially early yesterday, we just wanted to make sure that we could get everything out because we knew that it was going to be a big event.
And it certainly turned out to be that way. We have one more caller.
Hi, I have a comment about the Webb City Walmart. They have done an awesome job. They brought in a truckload of water. They've donated all kinds of stuff. So I would like to thank Dave Warden and Tracy Phillips in the Webb City Walmart. You guys rock.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
There are a lot of heroes out there. We've heard about a few of them. Of course, there are too many that are just simply too numerous to mention. But thank you, callers, for telling us about some. If you do have stories to share and we didn't get to your calls, just log on to our message board. That's KOAMTV.com. And we do have a new KOAM interactive question posted. And the only thing on our message board is a place for your stories.
Once again, we are asking for you to share any acts of heroism or support that you've seen. Just log on to KOAMTV.com and click on the interactive link. And we'll be right back with more continuing coverage after the storm.
Hundreds of people are needing shelter and communities are answering the demand. In southeast Kansas, a shelter is set up at the Arma High School, the St. Joseph's Church in Arma, and the United Methodist Church in Arma. The McCune Grade School is now a makeshift shelter, as is the Senior Center in Mulberry, as well as the Girard High School. In Missouri, there are currently 4 shelters in Webb City with the Red Cross at the high school. There's another at Webb City First Baptist Church on Broadway and Roane, the Church of the Nazarene at Dougherty and Jefferson, and at Webb City Assemblies of God at 21 South Webb. In Barton County, there are shelters at Memorial Hall in Lamar and at Liberal High School in Liberal, Missouri. If residents in the tornado-stricken areas have pets and need to place them in a safe environment for the next couple of days, well, one local pet shelter has offered services. The Golden Paw Pet Resort in Joplin is offered to take as many as 20 or 30 pets. They say they can take just about any animal, dogs, cats, birds, possibly even horses and goats.
Now, if you'd like to place your pet in a secure location for a couple of days while you make arrangements, contact Pete at Golden Paw Pet Resort. They are located at 2300 North Main Street in Joplin, or you can reach them by phone at 417-623-0842.
We're going to wrap it up here with some final comments. You know, I've been in this area for a lot of years. You've been studying weather, of course, for many, many years.
Yeah.
Never seen, really even heard of anything quite like this before.
No, this is the biggest event I can remember in my lifetime across the area. Now, I've seen, well, of course, we can go back to the '99 outbreak in Oklahoma City, but this is one of the widest outbreaks from state to state to state I think I have ever seen, and it's really going to go down in history.
And of course, the tornadoes were on the ground for a very long time and moved across a very long path. And that's the reason we saw so much destruction and so many deaths.
Yeah, we had our 3 big storm systems that moved through. We had tornadoes on the ground for 2.5 hours.
And we'll definitely keep our eyes out because, as you said, our threat is still out there.
Yes, it is.
We're going to continue to hear the stories of communities coming together and heroic efforts being made to get out of the storm's path.
We want to thank you for joining us on our special coverage of tornadoes.
After the storm, we're going to be back here for KOAM News at 10. Let's make it a better evening.